And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with me, your host, KP. How you guys doing today? Is the middle of your week going as well as the middle of my week? Are you having a great Wednesday, October 5th, 2016? I hope you are. I hope everybody out there is having a great Wednesday. I hope you were able to have a great meal with your family or your friends, or, doing what you're doing to be happy tonight. So let's get into it. We got some sports to talk about. We're going to talk baseball for the first time since April, maybe. I don't know the last time we talked about baseball. I know we've mentioned it here and there. We'll talk about Tom Brady returning. We'll have Cunningham's picks, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we'll get real at the end of the show like every Wednesday. Let's get into a local story here, one that we'll definitely pay attention to and I'll follow for sure. Colorado Rockies manager Walt Weiss has decided to step down as the manager of the Rockies. Haven't been a great success under Walt Weiss. Don't know that you can really blame all of that on Weiss when you have an ownership group who's willing to continue to take our money as long as we're willing to go out to the games for a bad product. It's on us as the fan to stop filling Coors Field each and every Rockies game for a product that is subpar. They have no reason to change what's on their field or change what they're doing at the top of that organization when they're making money hand over fist and selling out the park all the time. I know you love to support your teams here in Colorado, especially here in Denver locally. That's where most of them are centered. But we got to do something to make some change. We need the Rockies to be good. They need to be competitive. And I think that's going to start with us as the fans. Now, there's stories out there that Eric Young Sr. could possibly be a choice. There's stories out there that Glenn Allen Hill, who's been working with one of their minor league affiliates as a manager, could be an internal candidate as well. There's also the story out there about Bud Black. I agree with the people who say, why would he come here when he turned down the money to go to Washington? Maybe, it's an option. So we'll see. We'll follow that for the local crowd, tell you what's going on with the Rockies as the news comes in, and as I get to talk to you, we'll get it out there and see what's going on with that. I think it would be great if they did hire within. I have no problem with that. Bud Black sounds like a great manager candidate. We'll just have to see how it goes, really. John Kruk is out at ESPN. That one surprised me when I saw that story come out. He is no longer, after this season, going to work for ESPN. The longtime announcer, former player, really made that show for me when I watched it, him and Harold Raines, before he screwed up and got himself kicked off. But John Kruk out at ESPN. Maybe, he makes a leap to Fox Sports like some of these other guys are doing. Baseball playoffs have started. Congratulations. You guys made it through a 162-game schedule, the longest schedule in professional sports in this country. It just keeps going and going and going and going. And, baseball playoffs start off with the wild card games. And it's a one-game playoff, those wild card games. And the American League had quite the kickoff to the Major League Baseball playoff season. Toronto and Baltimore went to extra innings. Juan Encarnacion hit a walk-off 3-run home run in the 11th inning to win the game. Great baseball. That's what you want to see as a baseball fan at this time of year, is just that never give up fight, that way to figure out a way to tie it up or keep that runner from coming in, making that extra effort to get that ball that just might be foul. Some of those plays that you might take off a little bit in a 162-game schedule that you no longer are going to take for granted. So it gets ratcheted up a little bit, and I enjoy watching playoff baseball. It's some good stuff. Tonight you got San Francisco and the Mets. You got, Madison Bumgarner, who was amazing in the playoffs the last time San Francisco made it and won the World Series. And you got Noah Syndergaard, Thor for the Mets going tonight. So that should be another good one tonight. Winner of that game will go on to play the Cubs in the divisional series. On the American League side, Toronto's going to go on to play Texas. We all know what happened with those two teams last year. So look for this series to maybe be a little fiery later on as it goes on. What's the other American League series? Boston and Cleveland. And then the other National League series is LA and Washington. So, it's rounding out to be a very good playoff season for Major League Baseball and a promising World Series as well with the teams that we have involved. So, if you're the casual fan like me, definitely start tuning in and watching. If you're the diehard fan who's watched all your team's 162 games, more power to you. I got respect for you. That's how I am with football. So, it's time. Let's go ahead and get that championship race going on for baseball. Enjoy it. Calvin Johnson, he is still on Dancing with the Stars. I did not watch it this week, however. It looked like he scored, I think he got 23 points out of 30. So not doing great, but not doing bad. He's still on the show. Go ahead and vote for him. I don't think he's going to win by any means. I think that's going to either be the IndyCar driver or the gymnast, the Olympic gymnast. She's pretty good. Tevin Coleman, running back, okay? I don't know if you guys heard this story today, been following it or whatnot. Maybe you haven't, maybe you have. He carries the sickle cell trait. They play here. He plays for the Falcons. They play here at altitude against Denver on Sunday. Now, there's a number of players in the NFL that have this trait, and they've played at altitude and haven't had any major issues. Now, there is one who's everybody's been talking about, Ryan Clark. Played for the Steelers, came here, played, got real sick, lost his spleen, I believe. And the next time the Steelers were scheduled to come to Denver, he did not make the trip and risk his health any further. It's a lot to ask on that end. This isn't like the concussion talk where, CTE, it's a build-up effect of continuous brain trauma or anything like that. This is something the side effects, the issues going into it ahead of time when you have this trait. Tevin Coleman and the Atlanta Falcons have decided together pretty much that he will go ahead and play this Sunday. We'll see how well that goes. I hope the best to him. It's going to be a very tough game. This is a matchup. Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan's son, came up. He kind of knows what Gary Kubiak runs. He knows the system. He's changed the system as he is a younger guy. So he's taken that system that he learned from his dad and Kubiak, being around the Broncos, being around the University of Texas, being in the NFL now at a couple different spots in Washington, Atlanta, and these kind of places where they've run this same system. Atlanta can be beat. I'll just say that. Back to Tevin Coleman. I hope the best to him. The sickle cell thing is very scary. So let's, at least for this Sunday, be sportsmanlike and hope that he's okay as this game goes on. Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know if I can make that decision. I think I might say, I have to put my health first on this one. The Falcons don't have a lot of running back depth. They probably would have had to call up a guy from the practice squad, most likely T.J. Ward's little brother, to play in this game had Tevin Coleman decided not to go ahead and play. So, that shows his dedication to the team for sure. It shows that he's tough. It shows that he definitely loves the game and doesn't want this to be a setback. But I don't know if I could have made that same choice that he's making to go ahead and play this weekend. I saw this catch. Okay, this video is going viral now. I saw it earlier this week, but today I saw it everywhere. This young Pop Warner League player. Hey, you know what? let's go ahead and do Cunningham's picks. Right now, calling in, we have Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing great.
Glad to have you. Glad you could call in tonight. It's a great week. How's your week going?
It's going busy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Good week coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it then. Let's talk about some of these football games and situations we got this weekend. And we'll kick off with the local game here because, it's also your team and the Atlanta Falcons. This is your Falcons. They're scoring a ton of points. We got the Broncos defense, quarterback situation unknown. Break down the Atlanta versus Denver game for us this weekend.
For sure, my man. Yeah, Atlanta comes into the Week 5 matchup against Denver, leading the league in offense. Matt Ryan just came off a game going over 500 yards passing, 300 yards to Julio Jones. Denver is actually number one against the pass and from a fantasy production perspective. So it's two teams with their strengths playing against each other. You don't get to see that very often, but it should be a really good game. I think Matt Ryan is still going to produce around 300 yards, even though Denver does pretty well against the pass. And I think the key to this matchup really is going to be the run game for Atlanta. If they can get the run game going against Denver, that'll open up the screen game and some of those intermediate passes that could give the Denver secondary some fits. But I think all in all, that's going to be the biggest component. Secondarily to that's going to be whether or not Trevor Siemian plays for Denver. So I've heard locally around town various different sources saying that Siemian will look to suit up for practice tomorrow, and then they'll make a determination on Friday whether or not he's going to play. They probably won't release that till Sunday morning, but if Lynch plays, I think that gives Atlanta a pretty distinct advantage. As far as prediction goes for this game, our machine, the Dirt Cannon's computer, actually has Falcons winning this game 33-20. I personally think it's going to be a lot closer than that. I think this game comes down to last one or two possessions, but I do have Atlanta squeaking out a victory on the road, 29-23 over Denver.
Definitely. Last week when everybody was talking about Tampa Bay could be a trap game, I was thinking, maybe the Falcons the next week. Kyle Shanahan, the connection there with Kubiak.
It'll be interesting. What'll be interesting is the turnover difference.
Right.
If Denver gets a couple early turnovers and forces Atlanta to have to throw all game, I think that's advantage Denver, and they can run away with it. But if Atlanta gets off to a hot start like they have the last couple weeks, it could be a shootout. And I don't know if Denver can score enough points.
I don't know if Denver can get into a shootout. That would not be good for them. All right, now this is a big story this week. The Brady is back. Okay, what are the fantasy expectations for Brady, Gronkowski, and who wins this game between the Pats and the Browns?
For sure, yeah. So obviously, big story for Patriot fans with Brady coming back. Gronk's been nursing that hamstring injury for the first couple of weeks. They've somewhat got him involved, but I think they've really been targeting this Week 5 matchup for him to be more heavily involved when Brady comes back. And that offense should look night and day, coming off a shutout last week at home, first time in like 25 years that they've been shut out at home. So I think personally this is going to be a pretty big game for both Brady and Gronk. I look for both of them to be in the high 20s from a fantasy production standpoint. Gronkowski's salary, if you're looking at FanDuel or DraftKings or Yahoo from a daily perspective, is actually pretty reasonable. He's still the second or third highest salaried tight end across those platforms, but overall, if he does what he typically does with Brady at the quarterback position, look for him to get 2 touchdowns. Cleveland's given up third most fantasy points to tight ends so far this season, so it really aligns itself well for the offense of the Patriots to really use Cleveland as target practice and get Brady back into the swing of things. As far as the game itself, I'm not unlike pretty much all experts that are out there.